I think there's never been a more pertinent time to look at the causes and the consequences of counterfeiting, nor to search for ways of combating it. Counterfeiting, as you will know, is a huge problem. I'm told that last year the amount of counterfeited goods seized by the customs authorities of the European Union went up by nearly a fifth, went up by 17%. For medicines, the rise was over 50%. For toys, it was almost 100%. And for cosmetics, it was a staggering 264%. They are shocking figures, and given the twin pressures of an economic downturn and rising inflation, the demand or the opportunity for counterfeit goods could continue to rise.
Our role today is showing you an image of what's going on in spite of all the political efforts that have been made. We're still in an urgent situation, and really it's getting out of our hands and getting out of your hands. And this is a slightly Dantean vision of things, but when I tell you it's an emergency, it is an emergency. Whether we're talking about the least developed countries in Africa or South America, it's not just counterfeiting that takes place there, it's across the world. You will have all eaten and drunk something counterfeited, and you're lucky that you survived. And if this sort of problem gets worse, then it's going to break the back of world industry and European industry. They'll disappear. I think that's crystal clear. Forgetting about the problems which you, ladies and gentlemen, will have too when you consume these goods.
In Italy, manufacturing contributes by over 23% to the national GDP. Only Germany and Japan, among the OECD countries, perform such a high figure. Therefore, all factors affecting the competitiveness of manufacturing are on the top of our agenda. Counterfeiting, that we are going to debate on today, has rapidly become a major concern and must be dealt urgently and attentively, and more, as Mr. Zimmerman says, as an emergency. Italian companies are rightly proud of their many productive excellencies, of their creativeness, and their commitment to constantly innovate in both processes and products. All these requires huge investments, especially in times of negative economic conjuncture.
The question of counterfeited drugs has become more and more severe in the recent years. The commissioner who is responsible for customs and for checking all this and for announcing figures is Commissioner Kovacs. And the figures are quite alarming. So in lifestyle articles for the year 2007, we have a plus of 264% of products that have been detected at European borders. And when it comes to drugs, is compared to 2006 plus 51%. And we are talking about 2.7 million of counterfeited drugs.
It's no longer done in garages. It is done on an industrial scale. That means with people having professional support from IT systems and anything else. So you see here figures from IMS data and coming from a US-based Center for Medicines explaining how this will evolve in the next years, up to 2010. And $75 billion, I guess, is a lot.
Contrary to the speakers before me, I am still of the strong belief that the European pharmaceutical supply chain, due to its high level of regulation and oversight, is still a comparatively safe place. And there is no point in scaring patients and consumers that we are sitting on a time bomb. But I'm of course aware of the facts that have been reported, that counterfeiting exists. It is becoming an increasing international crime, and the risk is evident that it may inflict also the legitimate supply chain. And therefore, I fully subscribe to the need for joint action. And I think there I can also express the views of our membership.
We are looking into the whole counterfeiting issue from different angles, and indeed they are perfectly complementary one to the other, so it's not like separate chapters. But now I would like to put specifically the pressure, the focus on the enforcement as practical, or at least as concrete as possible, on the enforcement and repressive measures for intellectual property rights violations.
The problem, well, at least as already this morning have been pointed out by many speakers, we have the rules, we have many international agreements dealing with this issue, we have WTO TRIPS with a lot of enforcement rules regarding intellectual properties, we have the activity of the WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organization, dealing with counterfeiting, we have the work of the World Customs Organization, we have non-binding resolution of Interpol on IPR crimes, and there are also negotiation at international level and regional level.
There's always been the luxury trademarks being copied. Then the second wave, people haven't paid too much attention to, is counterfeiting ordinary daily life products. For example, disposable razors have been counterfeited for a long time. Third wave, more recent, is the more difficult sort of counterfeiting, namely counterfeiting things with chemical products in them, specifically medicines, which of course gets you a different level, which is danger. And then the fourth sort of counterfeiting, which we will see in the future, according to the experts, is the counterfeiting of food products. And that too, of course, is going to be dangerous.
So we show you here some pictures from counterfeiting in our industry. In DG Internal Market organized a conference in May this year, and there we invited our companies to send us some products, and we were overwhelmed with boxes of products from all over Europe. These are parts from Danfoss, it's a big Danish industrial company, but also copies of paper, design papers, of catalogs. So if they sell small parts or even small machines, the counterfeiters, they try, of course, to give an image that they are the real producer.
I'm not exaggerating. I'm not going to talk about the law. I'm not going to go into the terminology. I'm going to be quite boring and talk about the facts and the reality. What are the implications of counterfeiting for the internal market? Okay. Consumers getting deceived. We know about this. Brand equity being damaged, brand reputation being damaged. So what does that mean? That means less money, that means less research and development, that means people getting thrown out of a job, that means SMEs going bankrupt. Less money for state budgets, because if you haven't got any employees, you haven't got any income tax, let alone VAT. Less money for state budgets means my tax goes up. Environmental damage. We all know how difficult it is. We've all watched the television. Please get rid of your batteries in an environmentally friendly way. I would ask any of you to go and speak to my colleague Rocky from the pesticides industry and ask him how to get rid of a fake pesticide in an environmentally friendly way. We talked about consumers being deceived. What about consumers being hurt? Put some shampoo on your hair, have no head tomorrow. Sounds like an exaggeration, but when it burns your scalp, it is not an exaggeration. We already know that if you take a fake pharmaceutical, the chances are you might die.